Well, do you have a problem with short-sightedness? If you do, you're not alone. In fact, there's a global epidemic. It's predicted that by 2050, half of the world's population will suffer from what is known as myopia. Now, for most, it can easily be corrected with glasses or contact lenses. But at high levels, the condition can lead to serious eye problems and even blindness. Rather than genetic, this trend may be environmental. And you might be surprised to discover the likely cause. Tracy Bowden reports.
Georgia, do you want to take a seat up on the black chair at the back there, thanks? Good. So looking up at the chart in the distance there, with your right eye, smallest letters you can read.
A-V-F-A-L.
10-year-old Georgia Cleverly is part of a global trend.
U-R-S-T. We went to the optometrist and we discovered I had bad eyesight.
The World Health Organization forecasts that myopia rates will jump from an average of 30% of the population today to a remarkable 50% by 2050.
Australia, myopia would go from 4 million to 22 million by 2050. The data shocked us firstly and made us realize that this is probably one of the leading public health challenges of the future.
Myopia develops when the eye becomes elongated. Light entering the eye focuses in front of the retina, and objects further away are harder to see. The real concern is for those with high myopia.
They're much greater risk of having earlier onset cataract and glaucoma if they're a moderate myope, and if they're a high myope, they're much greater risk of visual impairment and blindness.
Okay, if you could just look straight ahead.
Professor Catherine Rose worked on the Sydney Myopia study, which assessed the vision of 4,000 school children.
We don't have the same rates of change as has been noticed in East Asia, but we have pockets of children who are much more likely to be more myopic. For instance, if we go into academically selective schools, we will find that the rate of prevalence of myopia in those schools is very much higher than it is in the normal school population.
At first, it was thought that the jump in non-genetic myopia must be due to computers, smartphones and iPads, with children spending more time up close online. But many researchers now agree that it's not the devices but a related issue. Increased myopia is most likely caused by children spending less time outside.
An eye that's myopic is an eye that's growing too fast, too quickly. And what we're actually thinking may be occurring is that when children spend enough time outdoors, they're getting enough release of retinal dopamine to actually regulate the growth of their eye. There have now been 2 trials, one in Taiwan and one in China, that have actually shown that they can actually reduce the incidence of myopia in those populations by increasing time outdoors in the children.
How much is enough?
There seems to be general agreement that somewhere around 10 to 15 hours a week outdoors is enough to prevent the development of myopia.
But I think it's safe to say it is about counterbalancing the time you spend indoors watching television or doing near work with a significant amount of time outdoors.
Researchers at Sydney's Brian Holden Vision Institute are working on a range of treatments for children who show signs of becoming severely short-sighted.
There are specific optical corrections like spectacle lenses that can slow the progression, contact lenses that can slow the progression. There's low-dose atropine, which is a eye drop that could help as well.
Like in year 2, I used to not be able to see the board much. I told Mum, so then I went to the optometrist and it turned out like I needed a low prescription of glasses.
Luke was about 8 when he first started wearing glasses. Within a matter of a year, his prescription doubled. I was worried that his vision was just going to deteriorate quite quickly.
Once a day, Luke Bromfield uses atropine eye drops.
The atropine drops, they help to slow down the growth of my eyes.
It's going really well. His eyes seem to have stabilised. He's been using the drops for a year now, and they seem to have stabilised. So to me, they are working at the moment.
Just looking at my ear for me.
Georgia cleverly is wearing contact lenses at night which help reshape the eye.
And down to the ground.
Just before I go to bed, we put them on the coloured part of my eye. The optometrist said that if I wear these, and it will reduce it will stop my eyesight getting worse.
Where this has gone unchecked, and really the country where we're noticing it's gone completely unchecked is in South Korea. The rate of myopia there is 96%. But what's even more astounding and worrying is that of that 96%, about 20% are actually high myopes. That actually means you've got 20% of your population at risk of visual impairment and blindness in later life.
So what do you forecast if there is nothing significant done in Australia?
So I think the health budget, as we move progressively closer to 2050, is going to be under a lot of strain from visual health.
While Australia's rate of short-sightedness is lower than that of some other countries, eye professionals are calling for a government-backed campaign focusing on the importance of time outside.
We want to be able to prevent myopia in the very first instance, and we've got good evidence that it's potentially preventable. I think there's a public health message here about, yes, we can be smart and sun safe, but we also need to be outside.